Okay, everybody. So today, in a sort of companion or brother or sister video to the coordinating conjunctions video, this is the subordinating conjunctions video. If you haven't watched the coordinating one yet, I would suggest that you watch that first. That way you'll have a greater understanding of what it is exactly that I'm talking about here. But the most important thing that we're taking a look at here is the difference between a coordinating conjunction, which if hopefully you've watched that video, deals with the acronym fanboys. So there are only 7 coordinating conjunctions, and the first letters of each of their individual words forms out the acronym fanboys. And coordinating conjunctions join together 2 independent clauses. And the way that they do that is through 2 statements that could stand alone as their own sentences, but they're joined by a comma and one of those coordinating conjunctions. So subordinating conjunctions, there are a lot more of them than just 7. And we'll get to that in just a second. But the main difference between a subordinating conjunction and a coordinating conjunction is while coordinating conjunctions have 2 independent clauses joined by the conjunction, a subordinating conjunction can appear in various places in the sentence, usually the very beginning or the middle, but you're dealing instead of with 2 independent clauses, both of which could be their own sentence. Here, half of your sentence is an independent clause, meaning it could stand alone on its own sentence, and the other half is a dependent clause, and that means that it needs the independent clause to make sense. So a dependent clause cannot stand on its own grammatically as its own sentence. And traditionally what you're doing with subordinating conjunctions is you are creating either a cause and effect relationship or you're explaining the relationship to time or place. So these are just some of them. I'm going to get into a more extensive list here in just a minute. But for cause and effect, if you wanted to suggest that because this happened, then we're looking at words such as for, as, since, though, due to, provided that, because of, unless, so, or so that. If we're trying to indicate something to do with the time or the placement of where something happened, then we're looking more at words like once, while, when, whenever, where, wherever, before, after. This is essentially if you've ever taken a journalism class and people have ever instructed you on what it is that a journalist is supposed to put into their articles, the who, what, when, where, why. This is sort of the time and place version of that. There's a lot of W's in there. Like I said, these are not all of them by far. In fact, I actually went online and there we go. When I went to the Grammarly website, which is a very legitimate website, it's a little bit more for profit than something like the Purdue OWL or the Online Writing Lab, but there's certainly nothing wrong with it. So when we get to this, they have what they call a handy list of subordinating conjunctions. So these are the ones that at least this website feels are the most common or the best ones to some sort of know. No one is asking you to memorize these, but you may want to visit the website or go on Google or something like that and compile a short list for yourself, just to keep them handy because you never quite know. Accuplacer and some of the standardized tests are big fans of taking a look at some of these issues, so it's worthwhile to know. All right, so Grammarly's handy list of subordinating conjunctions. Bear with me, this is lengthy, but I just want you to hear, because my guess is you'll recognize quite a few of these. So if these take place in the sentence and you're dealing with a independent clause, a sentence that could stand on its own, and a dependent clause, a part of the sentence that couldn't stand on its own as a full sentence, and these are linking them together, then you know you've got a subordinating conjunction. So here's the list, a handy list of subordinating conjunctions. And it is in alphabetical order, so you'll be able to tell when I'm getting close to the end. After, although, as if, as long as much as soon as though, because, before, by the time, even if, even though, if, in case, in order that, in the event that, lest, now that, once, only if, provided that, since, so, and so is actually the only one of these that can act as both a coordinating conjunction and a subordinating conjunction. None of the other ones work like that. Supposing, than with an A. Like you're saying, he makes less money than she does. That, though, till, like the shorter version of until, unless, until, when, whenever, where, whereas, wherever, whether or not, and while. So, subordinating conjunctions are words and phrases that connect dependent clauses to independent clauses. They always show a cause and effect relationship or some sort of specification on time or place. So those are the primary reasons that one would use these. So let's take a look at a couple of these sentences. And you can see one of the big differences is those coordinating conjunctions are going to have a comma, and then their conjunction is going to be in the middle. Subordinating conjunctions, there's not always a comma, it's not always in the middle. So you have to really, really, really be on top of examining these to make sure you're doing the right thing. So let's take a look at number one. We can't go to the mall because our car broke down. So here we have a cause and effect relationship. We can't go to the mall. Our car broke down. Because indicates the cause and effect. Why can't they go to the mall? Well, because their car broke down. All right, simple enough. Whenever I'm in Philly, I always order a cheesesteak. So, whenever, we're dealing with time. Now, if you had, wherever I'm in Philly, then it would be dealing with place. But because it's whenever I'm in Philly or Philadelphia, I always order a cheesesteak. Don't get me wrong, I love cheesesteaks, but that is not my favorite sandwich from Philadelphia. If you ever get the chance, the roast pork at, what is the name of that restaurant? I think it's called The Nick's, is really, to me, the best sandwich in Philly. All right, number 3. Robin wasn't allowed in the Batmobile any longer because, got our cause and effect, he refused to wear a seatbelt. Well, why didn't Batman let Robin into the Batmobile anymore? Because he wouldn't wear a seatbelt. So cause and effect. No seatbelt, no ride in the Batmobile. So you can see it's either cause and effect or it's indicating time or place. So that's the difference between a subordinating conjunction and a coordinating conjunction. You're talking about specifically cause and effect, or time or place. and these are operating sort of, well, we've got middle, beginning, so they have a little bit less structure than the coordinating conjunctions do, as well as a much lengthier list of possible conjunctions. So these represent the conjunctions as well as that list that I read off. So make sure that you keep that in mind when you are dealing with these. So final recap: coordinating conjunctions, comma, conjunction is in the middle, two independent clauses, parts of a sentence that could stand on their own and be their own sentence. Subordinating conjunctions, one independent clause, one dependent clause, doesn't have to be in the middle, it can also be at the beginning, and you don't have to have a comma. So these are a little bit harder to spot. There's certainly a lot more, there are certainly a lot more of them in terms of just sheer number compared to 7 for the coordinating conjunctions, but it's very much worth understanding the difference between these two. All right, you all have a good one, and I will see you in the next video.